Hey up. So, we're delving into the early 90s this episode, somewhere we've not really been in this series so far, with the amusingly titled Ghoul School. This is a direct-to-video horror film from 1990, directed by Timothy O'Rourke, who's only done one other film, director-wise, called The Basement. The film stars mostly a bunch of unknowns, but there's a few names in there. A guy called Joe Franklin, who was a famous broadcaster and appeared in films such as Ghostbusters and Broadway Danny Rose. And then we also get the couple, Nancy Sirianni and Jackie Martling. The former of which appears in Psycho Sisters, that we're going to be covering later on in the series, hopefully much later on. And the latter being a producer on The Howard Stern Show. So moving away from the 70s sleaze and the millennium trash, something from the 90s might be a much needed breath of fresh air. Or, and more likely judging by the reviews, we're in for something truly awful. Let's see, shall we?
It's movie time! Cool. Let's go.
Hey! What do you fucking eat my droogies for?
They're my droogies! Oh yeah?
For your droogies?
Yeah!
Well, here you go. Enjoy your fucking droogies, man.
What do a bleach blonde and a 747 have in common? They both got a black box. Pretty good, pretty good. Did you hear about the guy that couldn't come? We had to go get him.
The plot follows two ex-students who come back to the school to retrieve some stashed money that they'd hidden in the janitor's room. While in there, though, they accidentally contaminate the school's water supply, causing the swim team to turn into ghouls, or zombies. I mean, they're basically just zombies in this. So it's up to two horror geeks, a basketball coach, and a rock band to take down the ghouls before they kill everyone. This film is a film mostly consisting of filler, with a very loose plot that is really stretched over the 72-minute runtime. It's just scenes of nothing that just amble on and just slowly crawl up to one of the most anticlimactic endings I think I've ever seen. No kidding, about 10 minutes of this film is just a shot of 5 basketball players repeatedly missing shots. The acting is awful. I mean, of course it is. It's called Ghoul School. The acting was never going to be good, but it's particularly bad in this. Most characters seem drunk for most of it. They're just sort of slurring the words and stumbling about. And we never really get a sense of much character in this. There's that many characters that are just sort of crammed in there that we never really spend much time with them to get to know them. So a lot of the characters just sort of boil down to stereotypes with like one little quirk or something like that. The gore seems like it had the most effort put in, but it's not the best and there's not much of it. The ghouls, or zombies, are pathetic. It is just a bunch of people with fangs painted blue, and the blue paint varies from shot to shot. It's not great. It's pretty ridiculous, to be honest. This film spends way too much time with inconsequential characters. The guest stars in particular, like people like Joe Franklin who I mentioned earlier. It feels like they had this idea of, we've got these names, we need to get them in the film as much as we can. And also I think they were enjoying the process of having these people in the film more than the audience will be. So they just sort of plonk a camera down and shoot these non-scenes with these famous people, just sort of rambling on, and it slows the film to a halt, and it's absolutely awful, really bad. If you tightened this film up, trimmed out all the fat and stuff, you'd probably have a 15-minute film and it'd still feel slow. The editing is passable. There's like one or two bits of odd choices, but it's passable. Some of the camera angles are a bit off, but it's all very serviceable. The music is like a Goblin or John Carpenter knockoff. It's trying to be something like an 80s, 70s horror, but it's so repetitive, it's not great at all. This film really doesn't have much going for it.
Oh, shit! Jesus Christ. Who are these guys?
What now, Coach?
So I mentioned earlier that Jackie Martlin worked on the Howard Stern show as a writer and producer. Now, I've never actually listened to or watched the Howard Stern show, so I can't really comment too far on this. I don't really know who this guy is, or really who Howard Stern is to be honest. It's just a name that I've heard. But apparently on the show, this film has become a bit of an in-joke. Whenever Martlin says he's doing another film, Stern will take the piss and be like, oh, another Ghoul School, is it, or something like that. And you know what? I can see why this film's a bit of a joke. I'd be embarrassed to have had anything to do with this. I think the director was as well, because apparently if you get a version of this film with a commentary track, most of it is just the director apologising for various aspects of the film. Sadly, this version doesn't have the commentary on it, and it's a shame because I feel like I need an apology. Lastly, what is a ghoul? Now, I've said throughout this review that I would consider the monsters in this to be zombies, and my argument for that is that they were people who were infected by something and now mindlessly go around eating people. My opinion, that is the archetype for a zombie, something that's infected and now eats people. Now the dictionary definition of a ghoul, because what is a ghoul really? The dictionary says that a ghoul is a spirit or a phantom that goes around eating people. So they got the eating people aspect right, but I wouldn't say any side of this film is supernatural in nature. There's no spirit or phantom. So, technically, this film doesn't even have its title right.
What do you think, Dick?
God damn it, stop calling me Dick. Listen, we're going to...
Yeah, it'll be easy to steal this bike, huh? I think...
Okay, let's take a look at this print then. It's not the best. There are scan lines faintly throughout the entire thing, and the quality of the picture is just pretty low. It's quite blurry looking. The contrast and colours are okay, there's no issue there. It's just a generally low quality pixelated image. The sound though is awful. It's muffled and very bassy, so most of the time you can't really tell what people are saying, but also it completely distorts the music. Overall, it's not a great print, really. We've seen worse, but it's not great. And on the disc, we get the usual. Chapter select, trailer for this film, and more Hard Gore trailers. Did you expect anything different? Okay, time for the case. The cover is ridiculous with its Scooby-Doo font and big silly face that isn't even in the film. The description is in no way serious, it's just cracking jokes and turns of phrase. Fitting really, even Hard Gore didn't take this one seriously. The little info we do get here seems right. Apart from the sex part, there is no sex or nudity in this film. I've seen online that this should be a 15, but there's no note at the bottom saying that it's an 18 because of trailers or anything like that. Must have just forgot it on this one. To be honest, I'd say this is probably a 12 because there's nothing really in this film. This is another of the terrible white spine DVDs. Of course it is. I think whenever one of these pops up, I know that I'm probably in for a pretty bad time. Lastly, I wanted to bring up this poster slash DVD cover that serves as the IMDb poster image. Terrible, but yeah, I can't stop looking at it. Funny how it says it's in the 80s collection as well when the film's from 1990. Overall then, this is another one of the worst of the collection so far. It does nothing with its runtime apart from show us boring establishing shots and redundant characters. There is gore here, but there is nowhere near enough to make this worth your time. Avoid this film at all costs. If you're in the UK, this is pretty much your lot for this film, although there are some imports on DVD, such as the one that I showed the cover off for earlier. But don't buy this film. Buy yourself a good film. You deserve a good film, not this. Don't bother with this at all. So, awful, 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 awful film. One of the worst, again, this episode. Chances are that's not really going to change next episode either, because next time we're going to be looking at a knockoff film, by the looks of things anyway. Next episode, we're going to be checking out Hellinger. Wonder what film this is ripping off, eh?